morning. It's Monday.
Maria.
And we are going to try, and we're going to get a look into the rock tumbler. Can you get that off, Peter?
No.
That's on pretty tight, isn't it? Okay, let me give it a try, okay? Oh, gosh. Ooh.
Mom.
Yes?
Look.
Uh-huh. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Finally,
so now,
we got it off.
Yep, now we got to pull that out. Oh, look at the...
Look at it.
Okay, so we're just going to reach in here in a second.
Should I?
Sure. Grab a rock.
Ooh.
And how smooth does it feel?
Very.
It actually looks really good. Okay, we're going to get this all rinsed and get the rock tumbler set with grit number 2. Okay, yeah, that's going to be cool to look at. Good morning. Like I said, it's Monday. Welcome to A Country Life. I'm Jennifer, and today's video is sponsored by Weewaka refrigerated pastry doughs. What, Joe?
Oh, yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 17, 81,
Wow.
25, 20.
Oh my goodness. Numbers all over the place. Okay, let's not make a mess with that. I'll help you in just a second. Yes, so here we go. Today is going to be a fun day. We have school. And we have some cooking to do. This morning, Warren actually was up early making some cookies. We just wanted to take something over to some friends that are going through a very, very tough situation. And so Warren made some cookies to take over there. Yesterday, I made some turkey noodle soup. We're taking that over, so he's going to be doing that this morning. And we are going to work on this rock tumbler, and it looks like still get some morning jobs done, right? So with it being Monday morning, I'm just kind of looking at my my meal plan, which I do. This is a free download for you guys. If you are interested, I will put a little link in the description box below. But this just kind of gives a rundown of what we're going to be doing for suppers for the month of November. And we did get just a little bit off last week. So last night we just did the Big Macs, which would have been Sunday. So I am going to skip over the homemade pizza and get back onto track here today. Today I'm going to be making Mandy in the Making recipe. I mean, she made it. I don't think it's her recipe. I think it was a link to someplace else. But anyway, I saw it there and it looks so good. So it's beer, bacon, and cheese sloppy joes, and we're going to have frozen veggies. So I did get out my beef already, so that when it's when we're done with school today, I can just kind of get going on that right away. And I see that we're going to be having nachos and Hug and Kiss soup. So we're having actually beef meals 3 days in a row this week. So I'm going to go ahead and run to the freezer and pick up more beef so that I can get my beef cooking for the nachos and cook up the beef for the Hug and Kiss soup. And I'll probably just go ahead and get both of those things made today and pop them in the fridge. They'll be ready to go. I see here we're having company chicken, and that starts, I'm going to have to check if that starts with cooked chicken or raw chicken. And I'll probably pull some chicken out of the fridge today, or out of the freezer, put that in the fridge. And we're also having chicken noodle casserole, so 2 chicken meals in a row, Thursday and Friday. So I'm just going to kind of get all of that stuff pulled out and see how much I can actually make happen today. A lot of times, so in my past monthly menus, you probably saw that I would do the same recipe like every other week, and so that I wasn't reinventing the wheel, and that works great. I love doing that, but this month I just had so many things I wanted to make that I just decided not to do that. I just tried to keep kind of some themes going and some easy themes. So on the nights when I wanted to try something new, it didn't seem quite so overwhelming, because too many new things all in 1 week or whatever can get kind of overwhelming. So if you have been around my channel for a while here, you know that I do like to cook mostly from scratch, but I am not opposed at all to using some like high quality convenience items, and that's where the puff pastry and the pie crust dough comes in handy today, because I don't have any in the freezer right now. And so, and Sam and I think Peter have been asking for a pumpkin pie. So I thought, you know what, this would be the perfect day to make the pumpkin pie. I'll be in the kitchen but I have a lot of other things going, so to make pie crust on top of that is going to take a little extra time. So I'm just going to use the refrigerated pie crust for that. And then I do have a sheet of the puff pastry, so I think I'm going to try to put together some kind of cranberry, pecan, cinnamon, nutmeg, something. I don't really know what it's going to be. Maybe we'll put some apples in there too, but we're just going to make some kind of pastry puff. And what else? I think we just need to get going with school. We got that rock tumbler running again. That has to go for 6 days with grit number 2. I see Maria already is grabbing some paper and pencils, so she's gonna go and get some stuff happening. And I have laundry to put away. I normally fold laundry right at the dryer and put the piles there, but last night I wanted to watch The Rookie. I don't know how I got into watching that show here over the last like month or so, but anyway, I enjoy watching that on Sunday night. So so I had 2 enormous loads of laundry to fold, so I just folded it while I watched the show. That worked. You guys hear Christmas tunes? That sounds like a little jingle bells, right? Yeah, I better just keep moving here. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Awesome.
Dashing through the snow on a pair of broken skis. Over the hills we go, crashing into trees. The snow was turning red. Oh dear, I cracked my head. All I want for Christmas is an Operation Bed. Oh, jingle bells,
you guys.
jingle bells.
I know. You know what? Every 7-year-old boy knows that song. Somehow they just learn those. Okay, let's keep moving on. Maria and Joseph have been out making artwork today. Look at how beautiful that is, all the flowers.
Yeah, and I glued some flowers on.
Right.
Peter drew some trucks.
Oh, I do see some trucks. Yep, Peter came in and joined in on it too.
He drew some trucks and a Jeep.
What did Joe draw?
He was drawing like this, and
okay.
he drew this.
Okay, he drew that, the tree. That's very cool. Very nice. So we've just been doing a lot of school. I know I get... Okay. She's going to let Joe hang it up. So I know I get a lot of questions about the older kids and like what we do for high school and everything. And so this year I have a 9th grader and a 12th grader. So we don't do a whole lot together for the 2 of them. So pretty much with my high schoolers, they're pretty much responsible for getting their things done. I mean, I help them through when they have like questions on math, or they have a question on something that they're doing with the computer or whatever is like that. But I will just give you a quick glimpse. So this is just a planner here that I'm using for Sam. Typically, for Sam, I've always used just a notebook, but he's actually taking a study skills class at co-op this year, and the teacher really wanted them to have an actual planner of some sorts, and so that's why we're using this year. But I would say I still do prefer to just do this for Sam. It just works so well. We just, like here, Tuesday, January 15th, and I just put down everything he needs to do. And I will put chores on there. I will put things, ways that they might help their younger siblings. I'll add to that list as well. So it just kind of gives them a whole list of things to do during the day. And, just keeps them kind of thinking about doing stuff rather than just constantly being on a device of some sort, which is still, that's always a battle. I was just planning out Sam's school here. He is doing Algebra 1. We have to put his lessons in because he couldn't remember what exact lesson number it was today. He is doing a program called Life Work, Finding Your Purpose in Life. And so this just kind of takes them through thinking about, let's look at the chapters here. Just takes them through thinking about making decisions. So we have the roots, the trunk, the limbs, the branches, and you can see what they kind of talk about in all these different chapters. So like, for example, right now he's going to be working through a chapter called Life Work Planning and Decision Making. So it kind of just takes them through like thinking about their talents, skills, and interests, learning about occupational information, training and educational options. Then they also talk about the spiritual elements of all of these things, understanding where your values and virtues and beliefs fit in to deciding or choosing what it is that you want to do. And so anyway, he's working through that. He's also working on Easy Grammar Ultimate Series for grade 9, and that we're trying to get this done by Christmas. It's meant truly for, there's 180 lessons, which is kind of the typical school year, 180 days, but we are working, and he's right on track to get this done just before Christmas, barring any crazy Thanksgiving hiatuses or anything like that, or hunting hiatuses. He's also working in this reading, it says reading 7, so he definitely needs some extra practice when it comes to reading comprehension and stuff like that. And the reason that he is doing this whole book is because it dives into characterization and plot and theme, and it just goes very into detail as far as man versus man, man versus nature, man versus what are all the man verses, but anyway, so it just goes into a lot of detail with that, and I just thought that that would be really, really good for him this year. The stories are still interesting enough, even though he is maybe a little bit older for it.
Gang gang.
What does gang gang mean?
Gang gang.
Gang gang? What does gang gang mean?
Like we got gang gang. We got gang up.
We have to gang up and do what?
What you been harping on me this morning to do?
So Amber wants to gang gang and gang up, I guess, and we are we need to read The Jungle. We're still working through this so slowly. During cranberry harvest, we completely got out of it, so here's where we are, not very far. But nonetheless, I do think that it's a good book. We're just moving too slow. I am not really all that proud of how fast or slow or whatever, how we're moving through this. We need to pick up the pace on that. I'm going to stop yakking about what Sam is working on. We are going to get going on reading this. What do we have going? Why do we have like smoke?
Nothing.
That was not good at all. Amber's having some breakfast out here. What'd you make this morning?
An egg and bacon and cheese bagel thing.
Ooh, that actually looks delicious.
Yeah, I'm going heavy carbs today since I did heavy lifting.
Uh-huh, good. Sam's got some orange juice. The little kids are watching
I do too.
Thanksgiving. Oh my gosh. The little kids are watching Charlie Brown Thanksgiving, and we are going to read. Alrighty, it's lunchtime now, and I'm just getting a few things ready. We had some soup left over. The vacuum cleaner is just going in the background. But we had a little soup left over from yesterday's lunch and some hamburgers from last night's supper. So I'm just warming all of that up. And then I did actually bake some bread. That was supposed to be, oh boy, that is kind of loud, for a bake sale. But when I put it in the oven, I don't know, I think I let it over-rise a little bit this time because I just got busy. And so it kind of sunk a little and was just a little bit tougher, I guess, than what I'd like to donate to a bake sale. So anyway, that did not go. I kept it home, and I'm just going to butter it, put it in the oven, and just let it warm up just to kind of soften it again so it isn't quite so dense. Okay, so it is 2 o'clock, and it's finally the time of the day where I'm getting a chance to get back into the kitchen. And so on days like today, when there just seems to be, like, I'm getting pulled constantly. It's a Monday. We had just tons of fun over the weekend, and I didn't get a whole lot of like housework and different things like that done over the weekend. So there was lots of laundry to both fold, put away, and wash. Sam, what are you doing back there? And we've had lots and lots of school. You know, I had to do the plan for the week for everyone for school. We had to actually do school. We had to correct some stuff from last week, school, and just getting pulled back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So anyway, I'm finally getting into the kitchen. I'm going to start working on all of this week's food. But first, let's get going on making some of these sweets. So what I brought out first from the refrigerator is some puff pastry dough. So if you're not familiar with puff pastry, it's a really, really thin dough that then gets layered, and all of those layers are made to then really puff up when you put it into a nice hot oven. And so I have tried making puff pastry in the past and never had any good luck with it, especially for the amount of effort that had to go into it. So anyway, this is a real treat to be able to use the Wiwaka puff pastry because I've made several things already with it, and it just always like gets that super high and puffy crust. It's just really, really good. The important, I got kids running through always. The important thing with puff pastry dough is to use it directly from the refrigerator. You don't want it to warm up at all. You want to just have everything ready to go. Take it out of the refrigerator, put it onto your pan, and then get it sealed and into the oven, because you want that really cold dough that helps that puffing when it's in the oven. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put mine back into the refrigerator and get everything else ready before I open up the package. Puff pastry dough is not inherently sweet, so you can use this for sweet or savory recipes. I'm going to be grinding up some cranberries and some pecans, and I'm also going to throw in a bunch of cinnamon and probably a little bit of butter to go with it. One thing to note is that Wiwaka's European bakery style dough. It is free of all artificial colors, flavors, high fructose corn syrup, hydrogenated oils, and bleach flour. So it is suitable for a vegetarian diet if that is your style. Experience, it is important to use the parchment paper with the puff pastry. I did make some like little pumpkin pie cups with the puff pastry, which of course we ate them all up, but they were not pretty. I thought that I wouldn't have to spray my little muffin cups. It did not work out very well at all. So from my experience, it works best to just use the parchment paper. And then I'm going to add brown sugar to this mixture as well, because I'm kind of going for a cinnamon roll sort of style, but with puff pastry. Cranberries are quite tart, so I'm going to add probably 3/4 of a cup sugar, I would say I put in here. So the fun thing about this pastry dough is that you can just kind of have fun with it. If you kind of have a little experience making pies, or just other kinds of desserts, or you have experience eating that kind of thing, then you can just kind of go by flavor. Do you like apples? Do you like blueberries? Do you like chocolate? Do you like cream cheese? Whatever it is you like, and just kind of fill it up. You can see what I did here is I just filled up about half of my pastry here. I'm going to fold this one over, and then I'm going to seal it nice and tight. Remember to use the parchment paper. The parchment paper is oven safe up to 500 degrees. I like to do the edge by just forking it to seal all the way around, pretty tight. I don't want it to pop apart while it's baking. I just push down and pull out. And now we're just going to put a couple kind of cuts in here, kind of make it look pretty. That will allow some steam to escape, but still allow it to keep the puffiness that we're looking for. And then I'm just going to put a little milk in this bowl here. And my oven is preheated, which is perfect. I'm just going to brush this on. Everybody's in the kitchen now. All right, so we're going to pop this in the oven, and the puff pastry pack says that we should put this in for about 30 minutes. So I'm actually going to go 20 just so that I can double check it. Okay, so there you have it. That is the very first recipe that I'm making today. Okay, next up, I'm just going to get things cleaned up a little bit around here, and then I'm going to make some pumpkin pie filling. Everybody has big eyes when they hear that. So I'm going to make some pumpkin pie filling, and I'm going to pull out the pie crust dough, and that also is by Wiwaka, because today's video is sponsored by them. Yes, I am making pumpkin pie, buddy. So now the difference between the puff pastry where you want to use it straight out of the refrigerator and nice and cold, get it into the oven still as cold as you can. The pie crust, you don't want to do that with. Pie crust, you want to let it sit out for about 15 minutes so that it can kind of come up to room temperature, so that when you do unroll it, that the crust kind of stays together. You don't want it to crack, and if it's too cold, it'll end up cracking because it is a very different style of dough than pastry dough. Alrighty, so I have Joe in the kitchen with me now. Aren't ya?
No.
No. Oh, Joe. Over here, I indeed have the pumpkin pie mix, and I always use the Libby's Famous Pumpkin Pie recipe, even though I will pick up pumpkin from either Walmart, the Great Value brand. I will buy Libby's if it's on sale. I get the whatever it is, baker something that they have at Aldi's. Whatever it is, I just always come back to this recipe though, the Libby's Famous Pumpkin Pie. I love that there's cloves in it. It's so good. It does call for evaporated milk. If you don't have that, you can use regular milk. It doesn't change it that much. Let's come back over here and talk pie crust. So again, the Weewaka pie crust does not have any artificial flavors, colors, hydrogenated oils, nothing like that. None of the kind of those things that we're all trying to stay away from, right? And so I'm just going to open this. Ooh, looks like this is just about done. I had in for 20. I'm going to put in for 2 more minutes. All right, so let's get this pie crust unrolled. Okay, so that is all rolled out, and it is still a little bit chilly. So what I'm going to do is just kind of press these together a little bit. And the nice thing about these, they don't have to be rolled out any bigger. They're going to fit really well into my 9-inch pie plate here. This is actually even more of a deep dish. It's still going to work because the pumpkin pie isn't going to come all the way to the top. And then I'm going to show you a really pretty way to flute the edge as well. So I'm just going to make sure that this is nice and even all the way around, and make sure that it gets down into the corners here. Okay, so even though I pinched nice and tight, I did still have some cranberry juice come out. I'm going to let this cool, and then we are going to put a drizzle of frosting on this, and that is going to be so good. Look at how pretty the little like layers are and everything in there. It's just so pretty. So to flute, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch it, making a triangle with those 3 fingers. All the way around. Maria's just got a little guitar lesson from Sam this afternoon.
So open.
Look at that. Yep, I'll let you washed your hands?
Yep.
Okay, so Peter's going to help. I think I'm going to have him pour this in. So see what a pretty edge that gives the pie crust. And the nice thing is that this pie crust holds up nicely. It's not wimpy, so I really do like that about that. Because you guys know I love making homemade pie crust, but like I said, sometimes when you're just in a pinch, you just need something quick and easy. These can be found in the refrigerator section of your local grocery store. So what we're going to do for the pumpkin pie, I'm going to keep my oven set at 425 degrees. Pop this in for 15 minutes, and then I'm going to turn it down to 350 for about another 40 minutes. All right, so that is going to be it. Here's a little trick for you. You can cover your pie with a little bit of foil with a hole in the center, because that way you don't get your crust too dark. The pie crust was exactly the doneness that we like, so I was happy I remembered, opened it up, cut a little piece of foil and put it over top of that. You don't have to do that, especially if you like a really dark crust, or some crusts just don't brown as quickly. As the cranberry puff pastry cools enough to put the frosting on, and as the pumpkin pie bakes, it was time to move on with getting some of the actual real food made for us. And so here I'm just getting 7.5 pounds of ground beef into my great big stock pot here, and just going to cook that all down. I also like to sharpen my knives before I start in on cutting things like bacon or onions or really just about anything. I just tend to be a quick knife sharpener kind of gal. And anyway, here are the 8 slices of bacon that will be going into the beer bacon and cheese sloppy joes. I also have to cut up some onions, so I believe this day I did 3 onions and just kind of put it all in a little container just to have it ready for adding to my dishes. Okay, I'm working on onions now, so my eyes are watering, but I just want to show you the first thing that I'm working on in the kitchen right now is the bacon, beer, and cheese sloppy joes. And this recipe is actually, like I said, I did first see it at Mandy in the Making. However, the recipe that she linked to is from a website called dinnerthandessert.com. And then I also have my bacon going in the cast iron there. I'm just going to let that cook slowly so I don't have to kind of stand over it and be too watchful. Sam ended up showing up in the kitchen, and so of course I put him to work. But he's happy because he's back on to the Wi-Fi, and so he can listen to music. But he's actually going to cube up the sharp cheddar cheese for me, and we're going to answer the phone. The recipe does call for a half of an onion, so there is just about a half a cup there. I always take the liberty to kind of change up the process of recipes just depending on what's going to work for me. I didn't think there was a whole lot of bacon grease here. It said to save 2 tablespoons, but I don't even think there was that much in here to begin with, so I'm just adding the onion. Now let this cook down for about 3 or 4 minutes. Okay, bacon and onion is completely done. I'm going to put in a bunch of my ground beef into here, but let me first tell you what I really want to do is just crack a bunch of eggs on top of that, because I think that would be so good right now. Even though I already had soup for lunch, boy, that just smells good, and I just know it would be good with eggs too. Maybe another day I'll do that, but today we have to stay focused, so I'm going to get the meat transferred over. So I'm just going to add in my 1/4 cup of tomato paste, 1/2 cup of ketchup, one tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. Be sure to shake it because a lot of the flavoring settles on the bottom. And another tablespoon, which I'm just barely going to be able to get enough. That was 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard. I see I should have done this in my bigger pan. Let me see if I can make this fit. I need 1 cup of beer. I'm not really sure what I should do with the rest of this now. 1/2 cup of beef broth, which is just going to be water, and then I'm going to grab a bouillon cube. Okay, so I'm going to let this cook for a little while, let some of that moisture evaporate until it gets to kind of that saucy consistency. And I just wanted to show you over here, I do have 3 of my crock pots out. I'm using the liners that I picked up at Aldi. I think they're actually very, very nice. They're a bit larger, I'd say. Slow cooker brand or something that I picked up at Walmart. That was actually pretty tight in my 7-quart crock pot. It fit, but it was nice and tight, where this actually still has space. But anyway, and so of course, with a 4-quart, it's pretty big. But what I'm going to do here is in about 5 or so minutes, I'm going to transfer the sloppy joe mix into here. I'm not going to add the cheese now. I will add that just before we're ready to serve it. So I'm going to put that in here and let that just continue to warm for the rest of the day. Warren is out bow hunting, and so it's going to be a little bit later before we get to eating tonight. And then in this great big crock pot, this is where I'm actually going to put my Hug and Kiss soup. And then that's a 7-quart. And then in this 5-quart crock pot here, and that's where I'm going to mix up the nacho meat. Okay, so I just split up the rest of the meat I had, and I put half of it into this crock pot here. I did not add any of the onion. I will use probably the rest of the onion for the soup. But this is what I'm going to do for nachos this time. The nice thing about anything taco based, and you guys know we have tacos. Tacos are pretty much on the monthly menu every month. just about. And even if they're not on the menu, they probably get made anyway. I just have some of my taco seasoning mix here. I'm going to put in about 2 tablespoons of that. Today, I'm going to put in 1 can of these diced tomatoes with green chilies, 1 can of refried beans. Oh, that spilled on me a little bit. And 1 can of the mild chili beans. It says red beans in chili sauce. So I'm going to add all of this to here. I'm going to see what the consistency is, make sure that it's, you know, kind of dippable, but not too thick, not too thin, whatever. So that's it. That's what I'm going to do today. So this was super easy to put together. I mean, literally, I just dumped all those cans in, and then I did add 1 can of water because it looked like it needed a little moisture. Putting the lid on this, I'll put this, and make sure when you are using these liners that you really seat your lid in well, because sometimes if there's a lot of folds, it will like create a little gap. And a couple things, you don't want all your steam escaping while you're cooking it, and then you also, if you're storing it in the fridge until you're ready to cook it, you don't want the, you know, the odor of this to permeate onto other things in your refrigerator. So there you go. Make sure that's on nice and tight. So I'm just going to put this in the fridge. Tomorrow after lunch, what I'll do is I'll just put this on low, and it'll be ready for whenever we need to have supper, whether it's later because Warren's hunting, or maybe it's earlier. Actually, I just looked. It'll be a little bit earlier because he has a meeting tomorrow night. So that is that. So I'm putting together the Hug and Kiss soup right now. I've shown this on a couple different videos. If hopefully I will remember and link it up in the description box below for you guys. But it's just basically a hamburger and vegetable soup. Sometimes I will throw some barley in as well. It just kind of depends. I'm out of celery right now, but maybe between now and Wednesday when we eat this, I might be in town, pick up a stalk of celery. I don't know. It's not going to make that big of a difference, but I have to add in my home canned tomato juice yet. And then I'm just going to kind of let this simmer for just a little bit. Then I'm going to put it into this crock pot over here. And then I'm just going to put that in the fridge and let that sit in the fridge until Wednesday. I'll pull it out again, probably right about lunchtime. And I will turn that on high for about 4 hours so that all of the vegetables get nice and tender. Okay, so what I did here is put together a nice glaze, and I like it to be pretty thick, because I want it to kind of puddle on top over here. So let's go. It's always so hard to do this one-handed and still make it look pretty. But basically, we're just going to let that kind of firm up, because a milk and powdered sugar glaze will do that. It'll kind of it'll kind of set. And that's what we're going to do. Sam is really, really looking forward to this after supper tonight. Woo! Everything is coming together nicely here. The Sloppy Joe mix here, the beer, bacon, and cheese Sloppy Joe mix is coming together nicely. As soon as we hear Warren pull up, I am going to put in most of this cheese. And we have the soup. Oh gosh, Sam. The soup is going to go into the crock pot here. I just turned it off. We have the glaze firmed up nicely. Oh, don't you guys dare. We have the pumpkin pie here. Look at how beautiful the pumpkin pie looks. Do not touch it. My goodness. See it browned up nicely without getting too
Do we have
dark.
whipped cream?
I don't think I have any whipped cream right now. And I don't even think we have whipped heavy cream. Maybe we could give Amber a call and she could pick some up on her way home. So anyway, I have some broccoli going in the microwave right now. Close your mouth. And what else do we have going on? Just waiting for Dad to come in. Joe is actually playing outside in the dark. Sam is
outside?
Yes, he's outside on the sand pile still. I just checked on him. He was fine. Maria is eating up.
No, you stay in here and do the
Frosting. Everyone is kind of at that point where we are ready to eat. Everyone is starting to get kind of silly. There's been some running around and screeching and all of that. You know, the typical supper time happenings. I'm sure that happens at most homes with kids. So that's what's happening at our place. In the description box below, there will be a link to the WeWaka website. That is www.wewaka.us, and there you can find over 100 recipes that use the puff pastry, the pie crust, the European pizza dough, just all the different things. What happened? Okay, we'll find him. And so if you just head over there to their website, you can find all kinds of things, all kinds of recipes. You can also put in your zip code. I'm sure you're familiar with this with lots of different products. You can just put your zip code in and it'll tell you where the closest place is to be able to buy it if you're interested in that. So thank you so much to Wiwaka for sponsoring today's video. And until next time.
Bye.